But they're saying it's over an overdose.
That's some fake ass pills, bro. 9 times out of 10, it's probably them fake ass pills. Like, I don't knock nobody who do what they do, but it's too fucking dangerous to get anything off the street.
At the end of the day, and I can say this, and this is not an excuse, my son never indulged in drugs around me. You got to realize I'm his dad, bro. And I was a disciplinarian. I was strict, structured. So certain things I didn't see. I never saw Quan pop a pill in front of me.
Rich Homie Quan has been gone for almost 2 years now. And still, the story around his death feels shaky as ever. The overdose angle never fully sat right with people, and online chatter hasn't slowed down one bit. Now, the spotlight is back on the very last people who saw Quan alive. Folks are saying there's no way they told police everything they knew. Quiet moves, strange timing, and what looks like a situation hidden in plain sight. But before diving into that, let's rewind to the morning when everything fell apart. September 5th, 2024. The day Quan passed away at just 34 years old. According to the official timeline, his brother Andre was the first one to find him, around 3 a.m. Andre said he walked into the kitchen and saw Quan lying on the floor, food still in his mouth. No response, not breathing. Now, anyone who's ever seen a loved one like that would panic, call for help, or at least check for signs of life, but that's not what happened here. Andre told authorities he picked Quan up and moved him to the couch. And that was it. No emergency call, no rush, no urgency. Just lifted him up and laid him down, like the ending was already known. Hours later, around 6:45 a.m., Quan's baby mama Amber woke up. She took the kids to school, came back home, and saw Quan still on the couch, cold, foaming at the mouth, and not breathing. That's when she finally called 911. When that call went public, the internet went wild. People weren't just listening. They were analyzing the tone. Many said it sounded more like someone going through the motions than reacting to a real-time crisis. Andre once again stayed quiet. He was the first on the scene, saw everything before anyone else, and still never called for help. Not even to say he checked if his brother was alive.
Sleep on the couch since this morning. Well, he never came to bed last night. Sleep on the couch. I left him on the couch before I took my son to school this morning, put a blanket over him. And now I just checked on him again because he never got up. I don't feel a heartbeat. I don't see him breathing.
That's when people started asking the questions nobody wanted to ask out loud. Did they know more than they admitted? Was this something that could have been stopped? Or worse, allowed to happen? One user online said, "That's wild, because if my man hasn't been in the bed all night, I'm checking on him first thing." And that comment took off fast. Another person didn't hold back either. They wrote, "She's wrong for this. I can't believe how calm she sounds. Talking to the operator like it's nothing." And once that energy hit the timeline, things spiraled quick. Rumors started flying that Andre and Amber weren't just living under the same roof. People claimed they were getting way too close behind Quan's back, too familiar, too comfortable. And when Quan passed, Andre's moves only poured more gas on the situation. He was seen wearing Quan's clothes, posting laughing emojis, moving like he stepped into a whole new lifestyle overnight. Folks even claimed he was floating obituaries for money and reaching out to major artists for collaborations just days after his brother died. In the hood, people weren't calling that grief. They were calling it opportunity. Then an industry voice jumped in and didn't sugarcoat a thing. Hurricane Chris stayed neutral at first, but eventually spoke on it, straight up saying the situation felt off. He didn't claim receipts, didn't say he was there, but he said it plain. Something about that morning didn't sit right.
But they're saying it's over an overdose.
That's some fake ass pills, bro. 9 times out of 10, it's probably them fake ass pills. Like, I don't knock nobody who do what they do, but it's too dangerous to get anything off the street. You're gambling with your life when you swallow that pill that you got from your homeboy. Even if he said he got it from the doctor, like, don't believe that. If you didn't go to a doctor and get that as your medication, don't take it. Even if somebody's selling it to you, got the pill bottle. There could be an old pill bottle they had, and they putting new fake pills in it. Like, this a dangerous game if you out here taking drugs. You gotta really, like, pay attention.
When someone from the industry says that out loud, it gives the public permission to dig deeper. That's when the laced pill talk circled back around. At first, the story was a standard overdose. Fentanyl, codeine, promethazine, THC, the same tragic script people have heard too many times. But people close to Quan weren't buying it, especially his father. Months later, Quan's dad finally spoke up, still shaken, still searching for answers, and still confused about how everything went down that morning. Quan's father said it straight up. That story didn't match the son he knew. He made it clear Quan was not a pillhead. Yeah, Quan smoked and drank like plenty of people do, but that deadly mix they listed didn't line up with how he lived.
Today, and I can say this, and this is not an excuse, my son never indulged in drugs around me. You got to realize I'm his dad, bro. And I was a disciplinarian. I was strict, structured. So certain things I didn't see. I never saw Quan pop a pill in front of me. I saw him smoke weed. I saw him drink liquor. But certain things I never saw him do. But in my mind, I knew when he was higher than normal. And I would address it with him. I used to tell him like, hey, man, whatever you going through in life, your answer ain't in a pill bottle or liquor bottle, man. I used to tell him.
And this wasn't just a grieving father in denial. This was a man who talked to his son every single day. They weren't distant. They weren't strained. They were close. More like best friends than just father and son. Quan's dad even said he never had that kind of bond with his own father. So the connection with Quan meant everything.
This chair I'm sitting there alone, I don't wish this on nobody, man. Like, I honestly, I envision my son getting older and pulling up, kicking it with me on some grown man shit, bro. You feel me? Yeah. Like I wanted to have them time, man, while I was old and we just kicked it and we talked about what we did.
So when he heard what supposedly took his son out, it didn't sit right in his spirit. Something felt off. Then came the toxicology report, and people noticed how fast it dropped. No long delays, no back and forth, just wrapped up quick and clean. That alone raised eyebrows because those reports usually take time, especially when it involves a public figure with money and status. Now stack that on top of everything else. The calm 911 call, Andre's strange behavior, the alleged closeness between Andre and Amber, and then there's the presence of another woman in the house that morning. Kia Brown, that name keeps popping up. She wasn't family, not a public figure, not someone people recognized. But reports say she was in the house around the time everything went down. When authorities questioned her, people said her energy was shaky. Some claimed she tried to leave after allegedly dropping something off. Others said she gave vague answers about who else was there and what she actually saw. She never became the main focus publicly, but in the streets, her name never left the conversation. Too many people in that house, too many unclear stories, and way too much time passed before anyone called for help. That's when people started widening the lens beyond the house, because Quan wasn't just anybody, he wasn't broke, he wasn't desperate, he had real value. And in this industry, value can bring enemies. That's when some folks started pointing fingers elsewhere, even whispering names like Young Thug, saying the timing felt strange as Quan was allegedly getting his life back on track. There were whispers going around. People speculated that Quan might testify, that he might distance himself from certain circles, that he might finally speak up. But that angle didn't really hold up under pressure. Folks close to Young Thug pushed back hard on that idea. They said the respect between them was real. When the news broke, Thug reportedly broke down. Real pain, not a show. And when people looked at it closely, nothing about Quan's death benefited him in any way. Slowly, that theory faded out. But one idea refused to disappear. Quan may have been trying to step away from certain people, not calling anyone out, not starting drama, just backing off quietly. And in this game, that can be dangerous. Lil Woody hinted at this mindset in separate conversations, talking about how people sometimes get taken out when they stop playing their role, when they decide they don't want to be controlled anymore. He didn't drop names, but the message was loud.
So what's your thoughts on Rich Homie Quan passing? Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's sad. Rich Homie had a lot of potential. You feel me? Like, he just made the wrong choice in the past. What could have that hurt his career. And he didn't have to make that choice. But sometimes people gotta learn how to stand up for themselves. Don't be intimidated by no group of people. Cause them group of people, man, they ain't know that for real.
The streets started connecting dots on their own. And that's when another name resurfaced. Birdman. The industry tightened up when that name came back into the mix. Birdman was the one who originally connected Quan and Thug, something Quan himself had hinted at before.
And so would you say that during that time period, you and Thug were really like close friends, or was it just like a convenient musical relationship and Birdman was really the thing that was keeping y'all together?
No, that was my dog. That was my dog.
Right.
Definitely my dog. It was Birdman wouldn't keep me together. I met Bird through Thug.
Right.
I wouldn't have met Bird if it wasn't for Thug. You know what I mean?
Word on the street is that when their bond started getting too strong, too independent, things shifted. Fans have been saying for years that certain industry figures don't like artists becoming untouchable without oversight. When artists grow past the leash, situations get shaky. Now let's be clear, nobody is saying Birdman pulled a trigger. Nobody is saying he handed anyone anything. But the industry doesn't always move through direct action. Sometimes it moves through access, through influence, through pressure, through silence. And when people look at Quan's situation through that lens, the idea of an inside job doesn't sound as far-fetched as it once did. Right in the middle of all this noise and speculation, one voice chose peace instead of chaos. DC Young Fly stepped up different. DC had known Quan and his family since 2003. Real history, way before industry lights and cameras. This wasn't clout, this was family. At the funeral, DC didn't push rumors or feed theories. He spoke life.
Mama, I call you Mama. We been introduced since 2003. Big bro. So, you know, it's real family. Corey, what going on?
He told the family they still had to keep living, keep moving forward, even when the answers didn't add up, even when the autopsy didn't sit right, even when too many questions were still hanging in the air. He reminded them that none of us are promised tomorrow, that we're all just passing through. And what really matters is what we do with the time we're given.
But how you move, Emma, is how we supposed to move during these times. Because all the morals and the doctrines, this is the only time that we really apply it. When we hurt Job, everybody go read the book of Job. Just read the book of Job. He took everything from Job. He kept snatching everything from Job. And Job, like every Christian that, everybody like, I put so much good into the world. Why so much bad coming to me? He like, you know what? I ain't really been bad to nobody. I just want to talk to him. I want to ask him why. Why he doing this to me? God looked at him and said, who you talking to?
That moment hit hard. It was human. It was grounding. And honestly, it made everything else feel even darker. Because while DC was focused on healing a broken family, others were scrambling to explain behavior that didn't make sense. And that's when you realize how many layers this story really has. A brother who found him first and never called for help. A baby mama whose calm reaction raised alarms. A woman in the house whose presence still hasn't been clearly explained. A father who doesn't believe the official cause of death. Industry voices hinting something foul. Power players quietly circling. And a toxicology report that moved way too fast. That's not just a tragedy, that's a puzzle. And the internet isn't done putting the pieces together. One person online said what many were scared to say. They questioned how a blanket was placed over him without noticing what was happening. Another pointed out how unusual it was for Quan to be found on the floor with food still in his mouth, and the question keeps echoing louder and louder. If things look that bad, why wasn't an ambulance called right away? People online couldn't get past one thing. Amber was way too calm on that call, one person wrote. If that was me, I'd be hysterical. That reaction kept popping up over and over again. Another comment cut even deeper. Someone said, it don't matter if he overdosed or somebody gave him something bad. Either way, he's gone and somebody needs to be held accountable. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't about gossip or street talk anymore. This was about truth. Because until someone fully explains what really happened inside that house that morning, Rich Homie Quan's name isn't going anywhere. It'll keep circling, keep coming back up, and keep raising the same unanswered questions. So now the real question stands louder than ever. Was Rich Homie Quan truly lost to an overdose? Or did someone inside that house already know what was coming? And if Quan was quietly trying to step away from certain circles, who really stood to gain the most from his absence? That's where the story ends, for now. But the conversation doesn't stop here. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Say what you think happened. Say what doesn't add up to you. Let's keep this convo real and respectful. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. It helps the channel grow and keeps these stories alive.